It's been a really, really good experience to have my first weekend here in Korea with GT Asia. It's been a really eye-opening experience for me, racing in Asia. Really friendly, nice atmosphere around the paddock, and absolutely brilliant to be back in the Bentley.
We were looking good to finish sixth if we finished the race yesterday, which is a shame that when I think another 2 laps to go before the finish, I think Zen having problem with the gear shift.
We have a little bit of a mechanical issue with the gearbox, and we are unable to finish the race. Otherwise, the car was good. We have a bit up and down, but overall, I would say it was good for us to collect a lot of data yesterday.
We hope we can, under this team, can do the very good for the end of the season. So let's see.
For sure, our target is to finish it on the podium, but this year it's really tough. There are a lot of good drivers. Some are factory drivers, so it will be a nice challenge.
Confidence is always the same, but I guess we just have to take it race by race. It is what it is, and it'll be what it'll be. So nothing much else to do.
It's a little bit tougher, but like anything, good to get miles. So just push on today. Richie starts. I hope he can get through the first lap, unlike me.
Welcome to Korea International Circuit on the southern tip of the Korean Peninsula for round number 2 of the 2015 GT Asia Series. Of course, we had race 1 yesterday, and that was a very hotly contested affair. Clearwater Racing and Craft Bamboo Racing entertaining us, but in the end, it was the very team that dominated here 12 months ago with 2 wins from 2 starts. Red and yellow car there on right of screen with Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo, who worked their way through to the win. They've been the only winner in the 3 rounds so far held at this circuit. 5.615 Ks, Herman Tilke built, designed. Formula 1 circuit, 18 turns. Anti-clockwise rotation, you see the cars turning into turn 1 there. Very slow corner in some cases, first gear. This is coming through turn 2 and the long run down to turn 3. Car on pole, young Australian Jonathan Venter, now a member of the Aston Martin Racing Evolution Academy. He did a sterling job. And, he's one of the drivers, one of the combinations alongside Daryl O'Young in the VLT Craft Bamboo Racing Aston Martin Vantage, who is considered a hot chance in the championship this year. Of course, we have many pro and am drivers, but there's also a number of combinations. In fact, the first 3 on the grid in this field are prime examples of those combinations where there are silver class drivers, not necessarily professional drivers, but experienced gentleman drivers who are more than capable of running at the front. The first placed car, Daryl O'Young, very experienced competitor, World Touring Cars, Carrera Cup Asia, GT Racing, raced in the World Endurance Championship last year in an Aston Martin for Craft Bamboo Racing. They start on pole position, Jonathan Venter at the wheel. That's a strong combination. They're separated by a couple of tenths of a second between their 2 qualifying sessions. The car immediately behind, Adderley Fong, who drives with the Lotus Formula 1 team, a development driver with the Lotus Formula 1 team. He is driving alongside a driver widely regarded as the leading GT3 driver in the Asian region, Kita Sawa. Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo, another combination separated by very little. So the first 3 cars have a good, consistent team between them. There's only tenths between the pace of driver A and driver B. A little bit further down the order, the 4th place car is in fact Hiroshi Hamaguchi, no stranger to the GT Asia Series, a former race winner, now driving with the Triple F racing team by ACM. He has a new McLaren 650S GT3 underneath him this year, and he's joined by former Formula 1 driver. He's raced 2 Formula 1 races here at the Korea International Circuit, Antonio Luzzi. They will be a strong combination. But there's an example of a true AM driver, Hiroshi Hamaguchi, a gentleman driver, and a professional driver, Antonio Luzzi, former Formula 1 regular and a regular behind the wheel of a GT car worldwide these days. So they have a time deficit of somewhere in the vicinity of 2 to 3 seconds between the A and B driver. So where they might be as a combination capable of turning laps up to 2 seconds a lap faster than, say, an Anthony Liu, Davide Rizzo, or in fact a Daryl O'Young. Overall, Daryl O'Young and Jonathan Venter can turn laps 1 to 2 seconds a lap faster than the AM drivers, the true gentlemen, the Mok Weng Sons, the 3-time champion of GT Asia, Frank Yu, the Craft Bamboo Racing teammate, and Richie Wee in the silver and chrome and blue car, just going through the screen now. Unfortunately for them, they were eliminated in a opening lap drama in race 1. So they will be hoping to have a recovery, and so too the VLT Aston Martin that was eliminated in a turn 4 incident in the area they're coming up to turn 3, turn 4 on the opening lap last time round. So a number of drivers caught up down there, and unfortunately for them, broken rear suspension, forced into retirement. So they are ready to go. Nice to see the Adderley Fong Kitasawa car back. Made contact with Sean Fu during the second qualifying session. Took the front out of the car, mostly superficial, but unfortunately carbon fibre shards were sucked into the gearbox. So the Absolute Team Bentley team decided that the best thing to do was to change the engine, and they very nearly got out in the window between qualifying 2 and the race. Missed it by about 2 laps. Kitasawa joined 2 laps down, and they put in some pretty hot laps. In fact, in the end, Adderley Fong was trying to work his way past both Hot Wing Sun and Frank Yu, who were fighting over position number 2 late in the race, unlapping himself. But given his status, being a couple of laps down, he was showing the blue flag as the car just on screen now with Anthony Lewis, who will work his way through on the Bentley and then on the 2 leaders to take victory. It's the Singer car of Todd Petty, joined this weekend by the Japanese driver Naoki Yokomizo, who's very experienced in GT Asia competition, although he hasn't done a lot of miles in a true GT3 car with the spec of the Ferrari 458 that the TP12 racing team was running this weekend. Carlo Van Dam, who's off at the Nürburgring 24-hour race this weekend, as a member of the region's leading GT drivers. He will join Pitty for the bulk of the season, but racing for the Subaru team around the 24-hour race. Up to about hour number 12 over there now, so halfway through you can see the McLaren safety car ahead of the field. The field will be controlled by Jonathan Venter. Never started from the front row in GT Asia. Of course, did a number of runs last year in the 2014 season for the Graf Bamboo racing team. Joined them at the Bathurst 12-hour earlier this year. Very competitive. He's continued to evolve as a driver, and that's what attracted the attention of the Aston Martin Racing Evolution Academy, of which he's a part. So you can see the McLaren 650S safety car in front of the field. It'll peel off, then the field will be controlled by Jonathan Venter. They've been working hard to get those Michelin S9s up to temperature, ready for the run down to turn 1. A very hard stop, tight left-hander, and the inside of the circuit isn't necessarily where the grip is, so Venter will be mindful of that. He'll be mindful of the tyre temperatures down, so he'll be keen to protect his line whilst making sure he doesn't open any doors on the inside. So it's Venter. He's going to lead the field across the line for the second round of the 2015 GT Asia Series. And he's away, is he? Still holding, still holding, still holding. He's got the field. He'll accelerate when he's away. Who's going to run with him? Who's been left behind? Now, will Anthony Liu try and dive up the inside? No, he's going to have a look. But, oh, there's contact further back. That is Kane Young has been forced wide in the number 9 car he shares with Max Visser, and that appears he's got a broken right rear wheel. Something doesn't look right there, so that's frustration for them. They were on the podium 12 months ago in the NB team Aston Martin. There's another Aston Martin in the front of the field. That is Jonathan Venter in a drag race now with Adderley Fong, and that's the reigning champions. That is Weng Sun. He's in the wall. That is unfortunate. That's on the run down to turn 1, so he's been pushed off too. Now, this is where the drama happened yesterday. They've got through a little bit more cleanly, but Adderley Fong's now been taken by Todd Petty. As you can see, the left side of the car there, or right side of the car, left on screen, there's some drama for him. As now, that's Frank Yu looking for a dive down the inside of Hiroshi Yamaguchi. Todd Petty there in the second car on screen, the number 11 car. He's holding position ahead of Adderley Fong, so he's had a great start. The silver car there is Richard Lee. There is Frank Yu in the Interrush Aston Martin Graf Bamboo racing car. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Some of these drivers will be very keen, like Jonathan Venter, to stretch out a gap because they know there's a few pro drivers to come after the pit stop. One of them, James Collado, who's been very, very quick through practice and qualifying. Qualified just 2/100ths of a second slower than Richard Lyons in the leading craft Bamboo Aston. He will not take any further part in this race, the World Endurance Championship Ferrari pilot. So unfortunately, it looks like the reigning Craft Bamboo team have been real standouts since opening practice. Richard Lyons, despite having never been here before, has been very fast and been the pace setter through Thursday and Friday, and ultimately claimed pole position for the first race and had the car well and truly in contention. So Adderley Fong's lost a position now to the Thai driver Todd Pitty, very experienced in his home country. Yellow flag, so the safety car, perhaps, yes, the safety car board is out. So that will close the field up again. Now that's frustration for the likes of Jonathan Venter, who was opening up a good gap, 2.6 seconds on the first lap alone. That's all now been negated. That will allow Adderley Fong to close in. That car, of course, started 2 laps down yesterday. Showed no sign of any dramas, in fact had a very strong pace. Now, has that been contact? The car actually doesn't look too bad, and it is being driven back to the garage, but frustration for the reigning champions. That's not how they wanted to start this race. Having said that, 12 months ago, they failed to finish race 1. There was an incident between Monk and Frank Yu mid-track during the opening race. They'd been racing together for 6 seasons in GT Asia Series. First contact they'd ever made. Yu went in deep under brakes and was unable to pull the car up. Monk turned in unsighted for the Aston Martin, and unfortunately for him, that forced an issue with the cooling systems, and they were into retirement. Now that's Jackie Yung. He's in very early. Something not quite right there. He shouldn't be in this early in the piece. Now Jackie was classified a little bit further back. He might have been involved in some incident. Duncan Tappy, M Sport Bentley driver in the 2014 Blancpain Series. He has been behind the wheel with Jackie this weekend. Of course, Jackie's the reigning GTM class champion, making the move across from his Tiger livery GTM class Audi R8 into the Bentley for the 2015 season. Taking him a little while to get that up to speed and get himself comfortable with the new car. But expect that combination. He will drive with the team over the course of the year. Stephen Kane, a very experienced driver of the M Sport Bentley team. He will join Jackie for the next round at Luckiana. So the field is spread out probably a little bit more than they need to be spread out at the moment. Look at how long that is. The safety car has the lights off. It's going to pull in as Jackie manages to rejoin, and he'll just be able to get out ahead of the lap closing. There's Mock walking back to his pits. He'll be very dejected. Again, they failed to finish race 1 last year. They went on to win the championship. Mock went on to his 3rd driver's title. The Clearwater Racing team went on to their 3rd team championship victory in the 6 seasons they'd contested. Very successful team. Looked like carrying that momentum through this weekend. Certainly James Collado had been a great addition to the team. Keita Sawa having moved on to the Bentley team. Adderley Fong's right on the power. He's under pressure from Anthony Liu, but Liu's going to try the run on the inside. Fong really got the power down hard. You can see a little bit of oversteer as he accelerated, but he can't close the door. Is he going to try and make it fit up the inside of Todd Pitty? Force his way in. Frank Yu's taken position away from Richard Wee. Further back, a couple of the Golf Racing JP team entries, new team to the series from Japan this year. They're working their way into being competitive with a 991 GT3 Cup car in the GTM class and their Porsche GT3R, which they've sourced just recently from Belgium. Now Pitty is really on the run. No, he's going to try and look up the inside of Anthony Liu, but Liu's going to close the door and make sure he keeps that position, moves across in front of the Thai driver and retains position number 2. Can he catch Jonathan Venter? On pace, there's every chance it's possible. But of course, we have pit stops coming up, compulsory pit stops. And by virtue of winning race number 1, the lead team will have to stop for an additional 15 seconds. And that will make life a little bit more testing for the team that took position number 1 yesterday. They understand that, and that's why Anthony Liu is pretty keen to press on. Now that is Jeffrey Lee looking for a position past Zen Lowe, who's actually doing a fantastic job, the Malaysian driver in the OD Racing Team Lamborghini Gallardo. We will see another one of those very shortly. Of course, Delantha Malagamua, a former champion in this class, will return for the next round in Japan. 500cc motorcycle racer. Made the transition across to cars last year. Of course, he's paralysed now. So from his wheelchair, he jumped in behind the wheel of the Delengo Racing LP560 Gallardo and won on debut the GTM class. Adderley Fong applying more pressure to the rear of Todd Petty. Petty's made a great start and had moved as high as third. He's currently in position number 3. And he is coming under increased pressure from Adderley Fong. The Hong Kong-based driver has driven a little bit of F1. He is, of course, part of the Lotus F1 development team. Jeffrey Lee up the inside of Zenlo. That was very close. Not a lot of room to manoeuvre in there, and that's probably forced Lowe a little bit wide. Good job for him to be holding down position number 8. Of course, drop back now to position number 9. Anthony Liu is pulling in Jonathan Venter. Venter last time ran a 2:08.8. It's almost qualifying pace. That's very impressive. Anthony Liu at 2:09.5. It's probably a little deceptive for long view. Shows the difference between the two as being 1.7 seconds. As again Adderley Fong throws the car up the inside. This time though, it looks like he's going to take the position away. But what's he done to the tyres? This will be the problem. He's worked them extra hard, weaving across the circuit, trying to find the line, trying to unsettle Todd Petty so he can make the move past. The former Audi R8 LMS Cup champion will be looking as quickly as he can to close in onto the tail of that red and yellow Ferrari. He will hand over to Keita Sawa, but he's actually quicker than Sawa in qualifying, which surprised some, but just shows how close some of these combinations are. Sawa, unquestionably one of the fastest GT drivers in Asia, was on pole a number of times last year in the then number 3 Clearwater Racing Ferrari he shared with then 2-time champion Weng Sun. Fortunately for Weng, he's back in pit lane watching his team, what's left of his team, which is now down to 2014 Rookie of the Year Richard Wee behind the wheel of the number 12 car. Currently shown in position number 7. He's got a little bit of work to do to catch up to his former teammate Hiroshi Hamaguchi, who's immediately in front of him. Currently it's Johnny Venter, the young Australian, part of the Aston Martin racing team internationally now. Let's check his last lap time, 2:08.207. But thank you, Anthony Liu's starting to push too, 2:08.183. That's a pretty impressive pace when you consider that Venter qualified on pole with a 2:08.2. Anthony Liu qualified with a 2:08.49, so Liu's already 3/10 up on his qualifying time, and this is only lap number 5 of the 1 hour race. So pretty impressive pace, 2:09.3 for Adderley Fong, who's now 5 seconds back from the race leader. Lost a lot of time, caught up behind Todd Petty, so he will be looking to push on hard. All 3 leaders are in sub 2 10-second laps. There's Hamaguchi. He's battling a little bit further back. In fact, that looks like Frank Yu has now moved past for position. That's one car that may well be favoured. Talking to the team at the start of this race, their view was the leading car, the number 99 of John Venter and Darryl O'Young, has the opportunity to win this race. Because of the time penalty, having won race 1, the car behind them is going to lose too much time during the pit stop, and the pace of Darryl O'Young is good enough to carry on the performance of Venter, which is why Venter's pushing hard, why the lap times are down around qualifying pace, because he wants to hand the opportunity across to Darryl O'Young. Now, the one opportunity I think this team has, well, it certainly does because it failed to finish race 1, is fresh tyres. When they come in for their 85-second compulsory pit stop, as should everybody in this field, they will change tyres. They will have a fresh set of rubber for Darryl O'Young to charge. There's not a lot of drop-off in the new Michelin S9, new to the GT Asia Series. It's the control tyre for 2015. But certainly fresh rubber is always the favoured choice of any race driver worldwide. So Darryl O'Young will have fresher rubber on that car by virtue of not having used it up in the first race. They had actually kept a spare set. You will find that the same situation will be offered to Richard Lyons when he takes over from Frank Yu. They will have fresh tyres. The Collado Weng Sun combination, unfortunately for them, they put fresh tyres on the first race. They're now out of the equation, so that's not one they have to consider. But a number of teams also put fresh rubber on. As Jonathan Venter ranges up behind former reigning GTM class champion, Jackie Young, still coming to grips with the new big Bentley. Talking to Keita Sawa down on the grid, he said, with the Ferrari, I could be happy to say I could get 100% performance from the car. But he said at the moment, with the Bentley, she is such a lady, I am lucky to maybe get 95, 98%. I still have a little bit more to learn, but I know the pace is there in the car. So lights flashing from Anthony Liu. He wants to let Jackie Young know that he is there. He charges up the inside of Tiger Jackie, takes that position away. Now Frank Yu is still just ahead of Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Last time around, Yu's pace very impressive, 2:10.1. That's about as quick as he has been on screen now in the number 88 Interrush Aston. Recognised it as the Hulk over the last couple of seasons. Both craft member racing cars had similar liveries last year, very different. This year, the VLT car, the bright yellow car, Jonathan Venter at the front of the field, and the sky blue Interrush car with Frank Yu and Richard Lyons currently holding down position number 5. 2:07.900 last time round for Jonathan Venter. Faster than he qualified. That is a very impressive pace. In fact, if we check the pace that was being run by Richard Lyons, a very accomplished GT racer, one of the best in the world, 2:06.6 was his pole time. Jonathan Venter's now only just 1.3 seconds off a driver widely regarded as the best in this form of motorsport. So that's a pretty good result for a young driver that is trying to make a career for himself in the sport of GT racing. Anthony Liu too, he's no slouch. Last time round, 2:07.982. So he is a good half second under his qualifying time. So these guys are really pushing hard. Liu, because he knows he has a time penalty when he comes in for his compulsory pit stop. Jonathan Venter to make sure he gives his partner, Darryl O'Young, the opportunity to charge as hard as he can over the second stanza of this race, the closing 25 minutes. Now, whether they pit at the start of the pit window, which opens at the 25-minute mark, or whether they pit at the very end of the pit window, which closes at the 35-minute mark, you have to have perfected your pit stop in that 10-minute window. It's compulsory for every team. 85 seconds from the control line at the start of the pit lane to the control line at the exit of the pit lane. Every driver must stop. Now, Hamaguchi's found a little bit more pace, still becoming comfortable with the 650S GT3. Of course, drove the McLaren MP412. See that he'd had with the Clearwater Racing Team over the last couple of seasons. Very comfortable, won some races in it. They, in fact, led the championship alongside Rob Bell. Hamaguchi led the championship up to Shanghai, the penultimate round of the championship last year. So very competitive car, but he admitted before this weekend that despite the fact the 650S GT3 is similar heritage, it's a very different car to drive. He feels a much nicer car to drive. Talking to his teammate, essentially the team boss of the Triple F Racing Team, Andrea Caldarelli, at the start of the weekend, he said we have a little bit of work to do, but we're just relying on this weekend to get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more data, to get to understand what the car needs, how we can make the drivers feel more comfortable behind the wheel, and then we will develop these cars as the season goes on. So we're always expected to be a little bit behind the 8 ball at the opening round. Look out for rounds coming. That said, I did say to Caldarelli, as I passed him on the grid coming up here to commentary just earlier, that you did in fact lead the opening race. Was that part of the plan? He said, well, I didn't expect to be leading by turn 4, but such was the drama of the start of the opening race that by turn 4 there were cars off. There were cars like the leading car here with Darryl O'Young behind the wheel that was forced into retirement. Craig Baird in the Richie Wee Clearwater Racing Chrome and Blue Ferrari was also forced into retirement. There was a number of cars caught up in all of that. But that allowed Caldarelli to fire through on the 2 pace setters through practice and qualifying in Collado and Richard Lyons. So certainly had a good run and ultimately fell a little bit further back, but good job in the end by his co-driver Sean Fu, who's behind the wheel now, currently in position number 11, to work their way through to finish in position number 6. We take a quick look down the order. 2:07.76 last time round from Anthony Liu. So that pace continues to fall, which is incredible. Overcast, a little bit cooler than it's been at other stages during the weekend. So maybe the conditions are providing the teams just what they need to get the maximum out of these gorgeous GT3 cars. 207.8492 for Jonathan Venter and a 208.2 for Adderley Fong. So there's still plenty of pace in the big Bentley, but he's now 7 seconds back from race leader Jonathan Venter. 42 minutes still left in this race, so we're still about 7 minutes away from the pit stop window opening. And depending on your combination, you should expect to see the gentleman drivers to pit almost as soon as the pit window opens. In a situation where you have Jonathan Venter essentially quicker than that team has been all weekend, pushing on at the front of the field, they may allow him to continue doing that. Yes, Darryl O'Young will have fresh tyres. Yes, he will be capable of punching out laps that every bit the equivalent of Jonathan Venter. But if Venter's comfortable, he's in the car, he's pushing on, why bring him in early in the pit window? Interesting to see what strategy they run out of the Craft Bamboo Racing team. Similar situation, Anthony Liu and Davide Rizzo, very closely matched on pace, so they may still stay out a little bit longer. Now, Frank Hughes managed to pull away from Hiroshi Hamaguchi. There's a couple of seconds in it now. Still turning laps, the two of them in the low 210s, which is very impressive. Jonathan Venter, last time round, 2:07.7. He is definitely on a qualifying pace. He's over 2 seconds up now on Anthony Liu at the front of the field. You see that's Todd Petty, Thai driver in the Singer Ferrari 458 on screen, yellow and blue. Immediately behind Frank Yu in the Interrush Craft Bamboo for Aston Martin. And behind him, of course, was Hiroshi Hamaguchi in the black, number 55. Triple F Racing team by ACM. McLaren 650S GT3 shares with former Formula One driver Vin Antonio Luzzi. So it's Venter, it's Liu, it's Adderley Fong, Todd Petty, Frank Yu, Hiroshi Hamaguchi, Richie Wee, Jeffrey Lee, and that's down to position number 9 with Zen Low, the Malaysian driver in the OD Racing Lamborghini Gallardo. Position number 10, the Hanaoka Yashiro. Porsche, the Golf Racing JP car, has moved into position number 10, so a good result for them. Up front though, Jonathan Venter continues to charge, 2:08.2 to a 2:07.7. He's pulled another half second last time round. Anthony Liu is still in close contact. He's hoping we don't see any safety cars, because all that will do is bunch the field up again and throw all the strategy out the window. At the moment, Jonathan Venter's doing everything possible that the Craft Bamboo Racing team could want. They're happy to have made the podium yesterday. It was a fantastic race through the second stanza after Weng Sun got behind the wheel of the number 1 Clearwater Racing Ferrari and Frank Yu jumped back behind the wheel of the number 88 Interrush Aston Martin. The two of them came out and tracked together. Weng had new tyres, so he had a slight advantage, but they were cold. It took him a little while to get them up to temperature. He admitted to being a bit overly cautious, so he left with a 4 or 5 second advantage over the Vantage. But before the completion of the first lap out of the pits, Frank Yu, by virtue of his warmer tyres, the Craft Bamboo team didn't elect to make a tyre change, much to Frank's frustration. He said, I pleaded with them beforehand, I wanted the extra grip, I liked the nice feel of new tyres, but they sent me out in the warm tyres, and I caught them up pretty quickly, moved through to the lead, and then from that point on to almost the end of the race, they battled hard. But at the same time, they lost themselves 3 or 4 seconds a lap over the pace that they're turning right now. And what that did is it allowed the car second on the in the field here, the red and yellow car that we just saw turning through, Anthony Liu, to range up behind them and steal a position with a couple of laps to go to take that team's 3rd victory out of 3 races at South Korea. We've only seen 3 races. This is the 4th race at Korea International Circuit for the GT Asia Series. They would love to keep their winning streak alive, but they honestly felt that probably the best they could do today, given the conditions and the extra pit stop time penalty, if they could make the podium, they'd be very happy. So let's just see how things play out. There's a number of drivers who are aiming to be on the podium. There's only 3 positions and only 1 winner. At this stage, the one that looks like he's playing the scorecard exactly as the team had planned it is the man on screen, young Jonathan Venter, the young Australian, accomplished karter, got into open wheelers, and last year ventured over to Asia to compete in GT and did a sterling job on his debut. Very cautious, very careful, but also very quick, and he's shown that here this weekend. Very impressed. The paddock area to see the young guy, very popular. set the pole time with a very impressive time in qualifying number 2. He's continuing to charge, still in the low 208s, still at qualifying pace. So remember, when he set the pole position, his qualifying time was at 208.2. His last lap was at 208.1, but he's been turning laps in the 207s. This is very, very impressive. Lights ablaze, 37 minutes. The pit window will likely open next time around, or just after. Certainly open the next time around for a number of cars further back in the field. As we say, the AM drivers are likely to pit early. There are no pro drivers behind the wheel. The way GT Asia is structured is the pro drivers qualify in qualifying 1 and start race 1. The AM drivers qualify in session 2 and start race 2, and then they swap at the midpoint of the race. A pro driver can't do the entire race on his own. That's not the way this sport in GT Asia is structured. They must have an AM driver alongside them. It's in the order of fairness. There are a number of balancing conditions to keep GT competition close. It's called balance of performance. At the start of the year, the FIA and the SRO, as now Todd Pitty ranges up back onto the tail end of Frank Yu. In fact, Frank's taken Pitty for position. So that's for position number 4, and Hamaguchi's still not too far behind the Interash Aston. So he's starting to apply some pressure. Pitty, very accomplished driver in his home country, drives in the Thailand Super Series, has been driving Porsches and made 2 appearances in the GT Asia Series last year and was very quick. Admitted the Ferrari is different, but he likes the GT Asia Series, he likes the professionalism, he likes the competition, he likes to have to force himself to do better. He said the presentation of the series is great, what it offers is fantastic, and you've got drivers the calibre of Richard Lyons, James Collado, the list goes on, Cordarelli, Luzzi, Duncan Tappy. There are more and more of them appearing all the time. There's a lot of interest out of the European factories in the GT Asia Series too, so he said, I just couldn't afford not to be a part of it, and I know it'll make me a better gentleman driver over the course of the year. Of course, he will be joined by Carlo Van Dam for the second round and through to the end of the season for the GT Asia Series. So we look forward to seeing Carlo back behind the wheel, former karting superstar, been a GT driver in the Asian region over many years in a variety of different categories. And of course, in recent years, last year in fact, was part of the Craft Bamboo racing team. So, Jonathan Venter, 208.3 last time around. Anthony Liu, 208.2 last time around. Adelie Fong, 208.2 last time around, but 8 seconds back from the race leader. So he's holding station on pace as we see the pit stop window open. And almost predictably, 2 of the AM drivers have dived into pit lane. That was Hamaguchi, followed by Todd Pitty into pit lane. So Pitty will hand over to Yokomizo. Hamaguchi will hand over to former F1 driver Tonio Luzzi, who was perhaps surprisingly a little off the pace yesterday. They had a drama during their compulsory pit stop. Luzzi admitted that to me on the grid just prior to the start of this race. He came in a little bit too hot, missed his pit bay, was forced to go out, go around another lap and come back in. But by the time he'd done that, the pit stop window had closed and they were ultimately excluded from the race despite crossing the line in 5th place, which was a frustration for them on one hand, but the fact that they had all 3 Triple F Racing Team McLarens inside the top 8 was something they were quite happy with on their debut. So Luzzi admitted he's got some work to do. He's looking forward to the opportunity today, having tuned the car a little bit better, to really push on. Ferris Fauzi, another driver with Formula 1 experience, Tester, Malaysian driver. He will take over from Zan Lowe and jump behind the wheel of the OD racing car. Now, we did surmise that perhaps the Craft Bamboo racing team would leave Jonathan Venter out. He may have just crossed ahead of the pit window opening, but we'll see this time round whether or not they bring him down pit lane and they make the swap immediately to Darryl O'Young, the classified A driver for the number 99 team. Not long now, he's just approaching, doesn't look like he's heading towards pit lane. Anthony Liu, much the same, he will carry on. So Venter continues on in the lead. What's his pace like? Is it dropped off? No, it dropped off 1/100th of a second. He's gone from a 208.18 to a 208.19. Behind him, Anthony Liu showing that he's dropped nothing in pace, 208 dead 2:08.0. Adderley Fong still in the 2:08s, but the high 2:08s. Frank Yu is still maintaining a pretty good pace. Position number 4 now, 2:11.9. But you'd expect to see Frank pull into pit lane pretty soon and hand over to Richard Lyons to close out the race. Yes, shown in pit lane. So Yu is in, Richie Wee is in, Hamaguchi's in, Todd Pitty's in. So this is further back. In fact, that is Yokomiso now battling with Tonio Luzzi. They were in close proximity when they came in with their AM class drivers, but now the pros are behind the wheel. So it'll be interesting to see what Vid Antonio Luzzi is going to be able to do with the experienced Japanese driver Yokomiso. The gap is still 2 seconds a lap, so every hot lap now that Jonathan Venter puts in, Anthony Liu is countering with his own hot lap. Still in the low 208s, very impressive pace. Shows that the new Control Michelin tyre, the S9 that they have for the series this year, has worked perfectly. Track conditions aren't too hot, temperatures are probably in the low to mid 20s. The sun's just trying to peek through the mist at the moment, so conditions may change over the course of this race, but humidity is not too high. By the look of the lap times, almost perfect conditions for the performance of the car. 2 leading cars, of course, normally aspirated. They're not turbo injection. The big Bentley, 4 litre, twin turbo. The McLaren's 3.8 litre, twin turbo. The 6 litre V12 Aston Martin, the 4.5 litre Ferrari V8 of Anthony Liu in position number 2. They do not suffer as much in the heat as the turbo cars, although some of those things have been changing recently. Anthony Liu's had enough. We're at the 30-minute mark. He's pulling in. He's going to hand the car over to Davide Rizzo, who qualified in the pro session, although both drivers are very closely matched on pace. The JP Racing Porsche there was a little bit wide. Now that's Jerry Wang going very slowly in the GTM class Audi, but he too admitted that he was still coming to grips with the car and the series on his debut here for the Absolute Racing team. Doesn't want to get involved in other people's races. And he said, this weekend I'm treating it pretty much as a glorified test session, a chance to actually get some miles in the car and get more comfortable. Not a lot of competition in the GTM class this year. Many of the drivers have either progressed or, as is the case with the Taiwan Top Speed Racing team, they are caught up elsewhere, committed elsewhere this weekend. But we will see them from the next round in Japan. So too the man who won GTM here last time out, Aoki. Oh, that's very wide for Richard Lyons, but he may well have put new tyres on. In fact, he had put new tyres on. We were explaining that earlier. They'd left a spare set, so maybe just getting the tyres up to temperature. So he's working hard, trying to put some pressure on the McLaren immediately in front of him. So 2:08.3. Last time round for Jonathan Venter, he's lost nothing of his pace. Adderley Fong at 2:08.4, so he's continued to circulate. The Absolute Racing team have decided to leave him in the car. That is Davide Rizzo now. Won here yesterday. They've had a longer stop, so they've lost a fair bit of position over their rivals. Still shown in position number 2. That's likely to change by virtue of their lengthy stop. It's the GTM class Golf Racing JP car, just exiting the pits. Now Jonathan Venter comes in. 29 minutes left on the clock as Richard Lyons is firing up the inside there of Tonio Luzzi for position. Luzzi's no slouch. He's been here twice as part of the Formula One team. Last time with the Force India team. James Collado too, who unfortunately we won't see now with the number 1 car being eliminated. He's been a test driver here. Force India F1 team, so plenty of F1 experience. Now Adderley Fong's decided to pit at the same time. He'll stop, he'll hand the car over to Kitasawa as Duncan Tappy, who's driving alongside Jackie Jung very, very well this weekend, former member of the Bentley Blancpain Series team. He's a free agent a little bit this year, and Stephen Kane was busy this weekend, obviously at the Nürburgring, so they needed a substitute. Duncan Tappy, from the first moment he stepped in the car, has been very, very impressive. So too Davide Rizzo. They showed that last year. A lot of people had heard of the young team from China who in the past had competed in things like Carrera Cup and Lamborghini Super Trofeo. But by crikey, they knew all about the red and yellow Spirit of Race prepared team by the end of the first round, the first event on the 2014 calendar, after they walked away with the victory trophy in both races and led the championship after leaving the Korea International Circuit for the very first time. Darryl O'Young now behind the wheel. See what this does. We have Adderley Fong handing over to Kitasawa, so Sawa will be behind the wheel. Rizzo is already charging. Yokomizo we saw is charging. Maybe Caldarelli behind the wheel of the number 5 car. He shares with Sean Fu. They're shown in position number 12. They would have affected their stop. There's 2 minutes left on the pit window. Max Visa and Kane Young are into the pits, but they're obviously down a bit as a result of that opening lap contact. In fact, they are retirements. There's obviously more damage to that car. Not 1 lap down. They have completed 1 lap, so disappointment for them. They were actually on the podium 12 months ago in the NB team Aston Martin. Caldarelli at that stage had set pole position in his NB team Aston Martin. Sean Fu driving alongside. They were very quick in the opening race too, so it's a little sense of deja vu with some of these teams. As now Richard Lyons has moved clear of Lutzi and onto the tail of Yokomizo. You've seen the Japanese driver in the past, of course drives in Super GT, as does Richard Lyons. Very competitive driver in that series as well. So these drivers know a little bit about what they're capable of. Yokomizo, it's the first time in the Ferrari 458 GT3. Up front though, Darryl O'Young should have the control of this field. It's the number 55 car of Tonio Luzzi, just getting around the GTM class Golf Racing JP team car. Of course, that is shared this weekend by Keiichi Mori and Sashi Cooney. They finished second in the opening round yesterday. And if you just check the timing sheets, well, Jerry Wang's just pulled into pit lane. But Jerry Wang is currently controlling the GTM class. He won here yesterday on his debut in the Absolute Racing prepared Audi R8. It's Darryl Young, first lap out of the pits. Let's just see what the advantage he holds to Kitasawa will be. Both these drivers very accomplished GT competitors in the Asian region. They've competed against each other in all sorts of categories. 8.6 seconds is the current margin. Davide Rizzo, well, look at that for a result. 2:07.885 last time around. Now, they've all but ruled themselves out of much this weekend. Now, they have been a little bit coy on what they're actually capable of, but this is for position. On screen, position number 1. Kitasawa is in position number 2, 8 seconds back. And right under his rear wing, Davide Rizzo, who's just turned in one of their quickest laps with a 2:07.264. I mean, that's another qualifying lap. We're halfway through the second round of the weekend, and these guys are still at a great pace. But what we've missed is Andrea Caldarelli, 2:06.533, one of the quickest laps of the weekend. Sawa's just given Rizzo enough room. He's not going to force the issue too much. They want to bank some points after what happened to them yesterday. They're still in a podium position. Clearly, Davide Rizzo has plenty of pace. Does he have the pace, though, to match Darryl O'Young? O'Young hasn't yet put in a single flyer. We know that car's capable of laps in the 2:07s and the 2:08s, so he can more than match Davide Rizzo. Currently, he has a 9.7 second buffer. There is still 24 minutes to go in this race. Is it enough for Darryl O'Young to stay ahead? They would have put fresh tyres on the car, but it looks as if Davide Rizzo also has fresh tyres on that BBT Ferrari. Kitasawa hasn't given up yet. He will stick with the Ferrari driver. They're very close. Different lines through that section of the circuit. Sawa, of course, very experienced, has been around this level of competition for a long time. So Davide Rizzo will be more than aware of that. He'll have the Japanese driver breathing down his neck. It may be new to him with the Bentley, but he showed on a number of occasions last year that he's more than capable of matching the best drivers in the world on equal terms. And he may well show that again. So he might just be biding his time until it's an opportunity to fire back. 2:06.484 now for Caldarelli. Is absolutely flying. It's the first time this weekend that the mighty new McLaren 650S GT3 has been into the 206s. So almost perfect conditions for these engines. There's Darryl O'Young, 2:07.5 last time round. Rizzo, 2:08.4, battling with Kitasawa for position. Sawa lost some time, 2:06.9 for Richard Lyons. This is starting to become a qualifying session. We've got 22 minutes to go yet, boys. You need to just ease off a little bit if you're going to get to the end. They know these cars are capable of that. Many years ago, an endurance race with a GT car would mean a little bit of conservation and then charge over the closing laps. Events like Le Mans and this weekend's Nürburgring 24-hour race prove that these cars are almost capable of running qualifying laps for a full 24-hour period. So there's no real concern around a 1-hour race as to whether or not they can continue to just keep turning out laps in the 2:07s and 2:08s. Now there's the boot lids come loose in the Sawa car. We saw an incident yesterday where the Jeffrey Lee car during qualifying lost its boot lids. That may be a bit of a weak point. It's very unusual. It's not really going to affect the aero too much, although the way the boot lid is sitting on the rear of the number 8 car, that may well have a bit of a negative effect. It's a bit like an air brake, so that's not going to work well in Kitasawa's favour. There's not much to it, but it seems to be a strange weak link on the Bentley. It's the second one in 2 days. Anyway, the Absolute Racing team will make sure that never happens again. You can guarantee that. Very unusual failure, but a failure nonetheless. They will get on top of that one. Hasn't slowed Sawa down too much. It will be interesting to see is the pace now of Davide Rizzo as he comes around this lap. 2:07.24, so still maintaining the pace in the leading Craft Bamboo racing car. Now the second car is up to position number 4. He's 15 seconds back. 2:06.9 last time around, 2:07.2. It's only 0.3 of a second a lap. Richard Lyons is unlikely to, under those conditions, move his way much further than perhaps position number 3. We see him in the background here. The number 99 into rush car. No, as we close in, a nice tight shot of the VLT, gorgeous VLT Aston Martin Vantage of Darryl O'Young. You can just see there Richard Lyons in the background. Kitasawa coming through a shot. Look at that rear boot lid. It's only slightly to be carbon fibre to save on weight, so it won't be acting as a particularly heavy air brake, but it will be slowing the pace nonetheless. Last time around 2:09.1 for Sawa, who was previously in the 2:08s. So it could be having some effect. Now where are we with Caldarelli? 2:06.7. So he's continuing to charge. That is a great sign for the Triple F racing team by ACM. 3 cars entered this weekend, and 3 cars finished quite strongly in race number 1. They have a fair bit of work ahead of them, Alf Bora and his team, as they work towards a strong result over the 2015 GT Asia Series. So it's Darryl O'Young leading Davide Rizzo, Kitasawa, Richard Lyons, Naoki Yokomizo, Lutzi, Craig Baird now behind the wheel of the number 12 Clearwater Racing Ferrari, J.K. Verne, who won 2 Audi R8 LMS Cup races this weekend, so he's had plenty of miles around the circuit. And it's Ferrus Fauzi, position number 9. It's the Hanaoka Yashiro Porsche GT3R, holds down position number 10. Caldarelli in position number 11. He will take position 10. In fact, he's doing that right now. You can see that on screen. Porsche on right of screen. A menacing black McLaren 650S GT3 moving through to put that team back into the top 10. He lost a bit of time last time around, Caldarelli, as he approached the rear of the Porsche. Davide Rizzo on screen alongside teammate Anthony Liu, the only driver to have ever won a race at Korea International Circuit, a GT3 round of the GT Asia Series. They won both rounds last year, and the first race here today, they look destined to be on the podium again for race 2. There's still 18 minutes to go. Put the commentator's curse on them, as so often happens. You make a prediction that something's going to play out, and a random drama occurs to one of the teams, and the result doesn't quite end up the way it looks almost destined to do. So for position 10, which is now called Rally, it's Hanaoka Ishiro, and it's Jackie Young's in position number 12, Mori Cooney, GTM class Golf Racing JP Porsche is in position 13, Jerry Wang. That means he's now dropped back to position number 2 in the GTM class, so there'll be positions change on the podium this time around if it stays that way, although it's not all that far back. Unfortunately, retirements from Max Vizzer and Kane Young, who were on the podium 12 months ago in race 2, and here is the position change. That is Jerry Wang taking the lead back in the GTM class on the run into turn 1. 991 Porsche Cup car has dropped back to position number 2 in class, and they continue that battle over the final 17 minutes of this race. The other retirement, sadly, the reigning champions, the number 1 car of James Collado and Mok Weng Sun, Singapore-based driver, having a great battle with his long-time rival Frank Yu in race 1. Both of them sat on the podium. Mok claiming position number 2 with Collado, and Frank Yu, Richard Lyons, the pole sitters, finishing in position number 3. 2:06.7 last time round for Richard Lyons. We were just talking about him. That pace is continuing to charge. The one we're looking at is Calderelli, who got caught up last time round with 2:07.7. He will strike up another lap this time round. Soa's dropped back into the 2:10s, so that loose bootleg may be making things difficult. Now, Richard Lyons has just turned in a 2:06.5, so he is charging. He's 6 seconds adrift of Soa. At current pace, he will catch him in a lap and a half. Soa last time round a 2:10, so that will put 2 of the Craft Bamboo Racing Team cars onto the podium, which is a great result and a good points haul. And certainly for these guys, who are unfortunately forced into retirement in the opening race, they will bring a good haul of points into the second round of the championship, which of course is at the Okayama circuit in Japan, the 26th to the 28th of June. 3 weeks later, 17th to 19th of July, we're at Fuji, one of the favourite circuits of the GT Asia Series regulars. And it's on to a first off event. It's not happened before in the GT Asia Series, a 3-hour enduro at Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia on the 6th of September. 3 weeks later, it's off to Shanghai in China, where we were last year. It's the penultimate round of the championship. And the final round, for the first time ever, the team on screen will feature quite strongly. They're off to Thailand, to the Buriram International Circuit, the 23rd to the 25th of October. And of course, many of these drivers and a whole range of drivers internationally will be at Macau during the middle of November for the annual Macau GT Cup. Okay, Ouyang continues to circulate in the 2:07.5s. Rizzo, 12 seconds back now, 2:08.0. 5 seconds back from him, still in the 2:10s, is Kitasawa. Very soon we will see an updated run on where Richard Lyons sits. Calderelli's pace has dropped off a little bit. Craig Baird's pumping out laps now in the high 2:07s. Calderelli's, well, he's dropped off pace a little bit, but he's turning laps at 2:07.4, and we're telling you that he's a little bit off the pace. 2:07.3 for Duncan Tappy, who's driving alongside Jackie Young. Jackie, as you saw, stopped early in the race, had a slight issue. Still a few teething problems with that car. It's very new, but he will assist Jackie's pace this weekend. And then Stephen Kane will jump back behind the wheel with the reigning GTM class champion into the second round of the championship at Okayama. 2:07.9 last time round for Lutzi, so he's starting to find some pace. Position number 6. Richard Lyons now is only 2 seconds down on Kitasawa, so there will be a position change. He pulled in another 3.3 seconds on the Japanese driver, who's clearly starting to struggle with that aerodynamic issue in the back of the car, with the boot lid having propped up. We're just unsettling it in some of the faster parts of the circuit. It's not ideal for the Japanese driver. As he said, he's still at 98% with the car, 100% confident in himself to push it all the way just yet. As Craig Baird rages in on the rear of Tonio Luzzi, whose pace 2 is still pretty impressive. 2:07.9 last time round, but Baird's really charging, 2:07.4. He's doing double duty this weekend with Carrera Cup. Drives for the Clearwater Racing Team in Mox 991 Porsche. So he's been running very strongly, back on the podium again. He's been a round winner already in the 2015 Carrera Cup Asia Series. So many of these drivers running multiple categories. Darryl O'Young though continues to run clear at the front, 2:08.5. Barring any major drama and the potential safety car, he looks like he has this well and truly in hand. 2:09.0, 13 seconds back for Davide Rizzo. See the 2 Gulf Racing JP team Porsches on screen. One of them a GTM class car. The second car that's behind Darryl O'Young there is a Porsche GT3R, a full GT3 specification car. That is in the outright class. Kitasawa is now just 0.2 of a second. If we could see back from this shot, you would see the Sawa's rear vision mirror, probably partly full of boot lid, but also the number 88 Interrush Aston Martin of Richard Lyons. Here's the second team car, which is currently the leading car. Davide Rizzo on screen, turns into turn 1. Pace still pretty good, low 2:09.0 last time round, lost another half second. Fastest car on track is actually Yokomizo with 2:08.1. It's his fastest lap of the race, I beg your pardon. It's not the fastest car on track. Richard Lyons is still the fastest car on track, 2:07.2 last time round, to close within 0.2 of another podium position. That would be a good start to their championship haul for 2015, the Craft Bamboo Racing Team, to have potentially a victory and 2 podium places for their 2 entries. They've been quick here all weekend. No surprise that they're going to take away plenty of silverware. As Tonio Luzzi continues to be hounded by that chrome and blue car of New Zealander Craig Baird. 10 minutes to go. Field's starting to spread a little bit, but there's still opportunity. The big mover is still Richard Lyons, 2:07.2 last time round. He's 11 seconds up on Yokomizo behind him. He's a good 20 seconds down on his teammate. He knows he's not going to make the deficit up to teammate Darryl O'Young. Whether or not he can pick up Davide Rizzo, well, the deficit's only about 9 seconds. 10 minutes to go, that's a second lap. Last time round, Richard Lyons, 2:07.2. Last time round, Davide Rizzo, 2:08.2. That's a second lap. Unfortunately now, Kitasawa, as you can see on screen, is immediately in front of Richard Lyons. So Lyons is going to have to find a way past the Japanese driver. Currently, Sawa holds a podium position. That would be a great result on their debut. So he'll be very reluctant to move across and just make it easy for the Irishman to take the position away. So he's going to have to work very, very hard. What that'll do is that'll put Davide Rizzo in a position where he's relatively safe in second. It'll make it a lot more difficult now for Richard Lyons to work his way through into a position where he can attack. In fact, now he's gone from 8 seconds up. He's gone from 8 seconds behind Davide Rizzo to more than 12 just in a single lap. So that's going to make it very difficult. Still 9 minutes left in this race. Still Darryl O'Young turns out laps in the 2:08s. Rizzo last time round was a little bit quicker. He pulled back 3/10. Unfortunately for Richard Lyons, he lost 3 seconds last time round to the leaders. On screen, Davide Rizzo, you can see the Ferrari still moving around quite a bit. He's pushing very, very hard. As that pace suggests, that is qualifying pace still. We are 51 minutes into this race, and a lot of these drivers are still at qualifying pace, which is quite amazing. That's full testament to the new Control Michelin tyre, and also to these teams, many of whom had never seen this circuit before. Richard Lyons is one of those who made his debut at the Korea International Circuit on Thursday during unofficial practice. Teams enjoyed 3 one-hour unofficial timed practice sessions before 2 and a bit official practice sessions rather on the Friday. I say 2 and a bit because the heavens opened just before the final session, which was scheduled for the B drivers, the AM class drivers. So very little for them to take away, apart from a little bit of wet weather running and a bit of an idea on which direction the track went. So a bit of frustration. A number of them were looking forward to their first real chance to get back behind the wheel of their cars, where often the pro drivers have taken much of the 2 official sessions in setting the car up for race conditions. Okay, so Jerry Wang has moved back into the lead of the GTM class, has just put in his best lap of the weekend at 2:16.2. There's a board full of 208s, 208, 208, 208. Right down the order. Caldarelli's pace now is still a very low 207 at 207.2 last time round. He is holding down position number 10. The next car in front of him, unfortunately for him, is 27 seconds up the road. And that is Ferris Fauzi, who is only a second and a half behind J.K. Verne. As we explained, he won 2 rounds of Audi R8 LMS Cup this weekend, which was a good result for the Frenchman on his debut in that category. Was on the podium at the Blancpain Endurance Series round, the Monza 3 Hour, just a couple of weeks ago, having taken victory before Audi. Of course, Bentley's part of the Volkswagen Group family, which includes Porsche, Audi and Bentley. So he is still in the family, driving the Bentley here this weekend. It was Absolute Racing, a very big part of the Audi family in the Asian region, and they are doing a sterling job this weekend in getting these 3 Bentleys up to competitive pace. Currently we have one of them in position 3, which is Kitasawa. Second one now. Now we have a problem whilst I've been talking about what's going on. Richard Lyons has dropped right down the order. Sawa is back into position number 3. So Lyons has dropped back to position number 7. A 2:29 second lap last time round. Now that's dropped 22 seconds in one lap alone. He's dropped from a certain podium finish back to position number 7. We haven't seen him on screen. We keep seeing the race leader, which of course is Daryl O'Young, the second team car for the Craft Bamboo Racing team. That is Kitasawa on screen. 5.5 minutes to go. Craig Baird has moved through. Antonio Luzzi is now in position number 5. And Yoko Mizo has taken the TP12 Racing Team Singer Ferrari through to position number 4. That's the car immediately in front, or immediately behind there, of Kitasawa. So it's Sawa in the Bentley. Then it was Craig Baird with the lights ablaze immediately behind Yoko Mizo. He too had the lights on in the Singer Ferrari, so they're keen to get through. Yoko Mizo's pace last time around 2:09.1. Craig Baird at 2:07.9, so he is really hauling in the Richie Wee Clearwater Racing Ferrari. Richie Wee, Rookie of the Year last time out and a 2-time winner in the 2014 GT Asia Series. Still that boot lid is creating problems for Kitasawa. He's battling on, still in the low 210s. Yoko Mizo now is 5 seconds adrift, but it may well be the pace of Craig Baird that is the bigger concern for the Japanese Bentley driver. Although with 4 minutes to go, Baird is really going to have to haul him in to pull that 5 seconds back in the space that's available. But his current lap time is 2 and a bit seconds up on the Japanese driver in the Bentley. So that may well be what will come into play. Richard Lyons is dropping back still to 25 last time round, so there's a serious issue. They're obviously just hanging on for points. They want to be in the top 10, take points away from this second race. For them, tragically, despite setting the pace through Thursday, Friday and early parts of qualifying, their weekend looks like it will end off the podium, and it looked almost certain they would take third place here today. Daryl O'Young still up front, 2:08.9 last time round, 12 seconds now up on Davide Rizzo. Kitasawa still hanging on by the narrowest of margins to that third place position, and that would be a very good result for the Absolute Team Bentley operation on their debut with a 3-car team in the GT Asia Series. Davide Rizzo just going through. Jerry Wang, the GTM class winner, in position behind him on track. Won the first round here yesterday, so this will be 2 first-place trophies on his debut. The Absolute Racing Team. Now, see the battle just behind Kitasawa there. That was Craig Baird looking for a dive down the inside on Yokomizo for position. That would have been for position number 4. Once Baird can get through, then he'll be very keen to get onto the tail of Sawa. Last time round, Baird was turning a lap 2:08.1. Yokomizo 2:08.9. He picked up 8 tenths. You could see him look for that inside running position. Up front, it's the VLT Aston Martin of Daryl O'Young. The position they've been holding since the drop of the flag, position they've been holding all race. Davide Rizzo continues to hang on to position number 2. This is the battle we want to look at. So currently Yokomizo is keeping Craig Baird at bay. Position number 3 there, still Dasawa. He's battling on still in the 210s. He's doing everything he can. There's 2 minutes left in this race. There'll be 1 lap to go. So he should hold on to position. Well, I've made predictions already during this commentary, and it hasn't quite played out the way we might have expected. So better not make too many bold suggestions as to what might happen before the checkered flag. Almost last lap board. Yes, well, you would expect that would have been the last lap board. There's 1:40 left on the clock. There's a 2-minute lap now ahead of Daryl O'Young, a 2:10 lap based on his current pace. Anthony Liu, 2:09.3, so he's still capable of a pretty good pace, 11 seconds down. What will be interesting is who comes out of turn number 2 in position number 4. Will it be Yokomizo? Will it be Craig Baird? We expect to see the Bentley very soon. Will they hold the shot? No, we've just missed that, but here we go. It's Kitasawa still holding on to position number 3. Will the Porsche get in the middle of this battle? Will it be placed? Will it allow Craig Baird, you can see him in the chrome car at the back of the run there, will it allow him that opportunity to just sneak up for position and take it away from Yokomizo over this final lap? 49 seconds to go. Here we go. Here's the battle. Sawa still holds position, but they are closing in on him too. There's not much in it. Will Baird be able to take the position away? We also have Lutzi is closing in too, so he is still part of this equation. That is second place, Davide Rizzo, very comfortably second. That is Kitasawa still just hanging on to third by the narrowest of margins. How close are those 2 Ferraris? They're still close. Yokomizo could end up on the podium in his debut with the Ferrari team. That would be a fantastic result for the Thai team on their debut. They will only get quicker with the addition of Van Dam later in the season. Baird would desperately like to take that position away. He's been around this circuit enough this weekend to know where the opportunities exist. Daryl O'Young not far from home, and victory. A somewhat, well, almost predictable victory given the pace that the team had during practice and qualifying. A great first stint by Jonathan Venn to put him in position to hand the car to Daryl O'Young with a fresh set of tyres. And this has been a flawless performance for the VLT team on their debut in the GT Asia Series. Of course, they debuted the livery at Macau last year, but that's a great victory to Daryl O'Young and Jonathan Venter. Davide Rizzo will bring the BBT Ferrari home in position number 2. So out of 4 races, they've had 3 victories and a second place finish. That's not a bad record. They must be very happy each time they see Korea International Circuit added to the GT Asia calendar. There in the background you see Kitasawa. He's managed to hang on to position 3, and this is a fantastic result too for the Absolute Team Bentley operation. Yokomizo held on to position number 4, narrowly ahead of both Craig Baird and Antonio Lutzi. So there is your 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. JK Verne will bring the J-Fly Racing Jeffrey Lee Bentley Continental across the line in position number 7. And it appears his pace is down still in the teens, 2:16 last time round. Richard Lyons may salvage position number 8. Ferris Fauzi will cross the line in position number 9. Andrea Caldarelli has worked his car back into the top 10. So that's 2 of the Triple F Racing Team McLarens inside the top 10. And it's the Hanaoka Yoshiro Golf Racing JP Porsche GT3R in position number 11. Duncan Tappy works the Jackie Yung Tiger Racing Bentley up to position 12, and Jerry Wang will take his second victory in the GTM class. Thanks for joining us. Next time we see you, it will be from the Okayama Circuit in Japan, June 26, 28. Thanks for joining us.